Stop marketing on rented land and do this instead. Hey, I'm Sam Dunning, co-owner over at webchoiceuk.com and host of the Top 100 Marketing Podcast Business Growth Show. And today we're going to be sharing all about why it's so important to invest in marketing assets that you can fully own as opposed to going all in on rented channels. All right, so first off, what do we actually mean when we say marketing on rented land? So by rented land, it means any platform that you do not fully own yourself. So this could be social media sites like LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. There's a bunch of other sites that essentially you do not own. They're not your asset. So what I mean by that is they could be great. So I know many people that are marketing on LinkedIn. Myself, I'm one. I post content on LinkedIn every day. It generates us a lot of business. Being in the B2B space as we're working with other businesses, it's a great platform for us to connect with business professionals, to build our network, to gain referrals, to gain inbound inquiries, to become a thought leader through posting content regularly in our industry, in our case, digital marketing, and make some really valuable connections and generate leads. And likewise, if you're B2C, Facebook's pretty good, and the same for Instagram. And there's a bunch of other channels in that social space. So they're great in that sense, but what they can do is they can change the goalpost whenever the heck they want. So LinkedIn could turn around tomorrow, and whilst LinkedIn has an awesome organic reach, they could change it. They're probably not going to, but they could suddenly make it pay to play. So you have to pay a subscription to use the platform, or they could significantly drop the reach and make you pay to increase your reach. They could change the way the messaging tools work. And likewise, Facebook or Instagram could completely move their algorithm, change their system. So this is not within your control. So all these things they could do are not within your control, meaning they may be great as one channel to market on, but if you're solely relying on one of these channels to generate all your business, then you could find yourself one day that they change the algorithm, change one part of the system, and then a massive chunk of your business is gone purely because you're relying on that platform. Now, looking at assets that you can actually own. So this could be something like your website. It could be video content you create. It could be blog articles, an email list, podcast, or there's a bunch of others as well. Looking at each in a bit more detail. So why would you consider having a website or updating a website? So one thing to consider is when I mention website, I don't mean things like pay monthly builders. So there are tools like Squarespace, Shopify. I mean a site that you will own the code and the files yourself. So something like a WordPress site or a bespoke build site or such, where you do actually fully own the property and are not renting it off someone else. So a website is great because it can do a bunch of things. It can showcase what you do, your services. It can build trust through things like social proof, testimonials, reviews. It can be a resource to prospects to give them useful content and information and answer their questions. Plus, it can generate leads if you want to generate inquiries or demo requests, or it can generate sales if you're selling stuff. But best of all, it's something you can continually add to. So you can constantly be adding pages of content. You can get the website ranked in the search engines, and it's not going away anywhere because it's something that you have full ownership of. You can constantly be building up in terms of SEO, in terms of your marketing, and you can direct people to it, right? You can say, look, this is my site. Take a good look around, and you can generate business from it. Video content, much the same stuff you own, whether that's you're publishing it on your site, whether it's you're publishing it to something like YouTube or other channels. It's typically something like I'm recording now, an evergreen piece of content that can stay on the internet. And once it's there, it's there. It can drive awareness, showcase what you do, and bring in business a long term over time. Blog content, again, something you can publish. You can have it as part of your website, but blog posts, again, once you publish them, they're pieces of content on a certain topic. They can rank on Google. They can drive business. They can build awareness. There's so many things you can do with a blog post. Email list is a great one. So what you can do with an email list is sign up anyone who's an existing customer or new prospects, and they can gain valuable tips or insights, or if you're in e-commerce, discounts from you each week. But this is a list that you own. So your list is not anyone else's. This is something that you can manage, that you can help people, you can add value, you can share promotions, you can build it up over time and use it as a tool to generate sales. and podcast, very similar to video. Again, once you publish a podcast, it's there on the internet, it's evergreen, it's staying there, it's not going anywhere. It can generate you business. You can link it back to your website. You can use it as part of content to your website. As we've talked about on previous episodes, you can chop this podcast up into micro pieces of content. You can make smaller video clips from it. You can make smaller sound bites from it. You can turn it into articles, blog posts, and much, much more. And you own the episode once it's published. It's all yours. So my recommendation might sound a bit counterintuitive from what we discussed at the start of the episode, but to utilize both rented land and assets you own. So from my own perspective, we generate quite a significant chunk of business through LinkedIn, through creating content, sharing content in our space, which is websites, SEO, and digital marketing. So I do a lot on LinkedIn, a lot through the podcast Business Growth Show, and we do a bit on other social channels too. But then we've got a website, so we add content to that regularly. We do a lot of SEO, and we do a lot of paid ads. We do the podcast. So we're doing a bunch of channels on assets we own, and then we're doing a little bit on assets that we do not, that are on rented land. So we're making the best of both worlds. And what you can do is, if you're using assets, if you're on rented land, so if you're on social, you can direct people to the channels that you own. So perhaps if you're doing posts, say for example LinkedIn, and you've given a valuable insight, you could say, look, if you want to learn more, sign up to my email list, or check out my website for more information, or check out this blog post. So both can link together. So you're using the rented land to then direct people to sign up to your email list, to check out your website, to view a latest episode on your podcast. So over time, you're building up the assets that you own. You're building up, let's say, your customer base, which in turn is going to help you build up more leads and more revenue by directing people to those assets you've got control of. And therefore, giving you more long-term growth, because you're not simply relying on one channel or two channels that are rented. You're making a mix of rented and fully owned assets. So with that, I want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please do hit subscribe. If you've got any questions, as always, do send us a message. And with that, we'll catch you on the next episode.